Ethan Grant eased his truck into the familiar curve of Maplewood Drive, the afternoon sun casting golden streaks across the quiet suburban street. He was thinking about dinner plans, wondering if he had left any chicken out to thaw. But when he turned into his driveway, the casual thoughts died instantly. His foot slammed on the brake, gravel crunching beneath the tires, and his stomach twisted as he stared at the bright red "Sold" sign planted squarely in his front yard. For a moment, he thought it was a prank, a cruel, inexplicable joke. He blinked rapidly, his heart hammering in his chest, but the sign stayed planted in the grass like a mocking flag. His gaze flickered to the house beyond the sign. His house. The house he had bought 6 years ago. The house where he painted the shutters navy blue, where he installed the crooked porch swing that never stopped creaking. The house where his late wife had insisted on placing that awful ceramic flamingo in the garden bed. It was all there, exactly the same, except strangers were carrying boxes inside. For a heartbeat, Ethan thought maybe he had pulled into the wrong driveway. Maybe he was so exhausted from his 3-week work trip that his brain was playing tricks on him. But when he checked the address on the mailbox, 1987 Maplewood Drive, he knew this wasn't a mistake. This was his house, and somebody was moving into it. Ethan shoved his door open, his boots crunching on the gravel as he stormed toward the front yard. His voice came out hoarse, shaky, the disbelief rising like bile in his throat. "Excuse me, what the hell is going on here?" A man standing near the moving truck turned toward him, shielding his eyes from the sun. He was about Ethan's age, wearing cargo shorts and a smug grin. Beside him, a woman in yoga pants cradled a stack of folders and offered a tight, confused smile. The man said, cocking an eyebrow. "Who are you?" Ethan's heart pounded harder. "I'm a guy who lives here. This is my house." The woman laughed nervously and hugged the folder tighter. "No, I think you're mistaken. We just bought this house. From the HOA. Ethan stared at them, the words not registering at first. "The HOA," he echoed. His confusion gave way to fury, his voice rising. "I'm not even in an HOA." The man sighed, flipping through the folder his wife handed him. "Look, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. We bought it legally. Here." He held up a piece of paper. Ethan didn't need to step closer to know what it said. His address was at the top of the page, but the names listed under new owners weren't his. Ethan's fists clenched at his sides. His pulse thudded in his ears. This wasn't a clerical mistake. This was a nightmare. And then he heard her, that smug, nasal voice that made his skin crawl. "Oh, you're back? Huh. Didn't think you'd return so soon." Ethan turned slowly. There she was, Pamela Langford, the self-appointed queen bee of the neighborhood. The woman who wore her platinum bob like a battle helmet and tied pastel sweaters around her shoulders like suburban armor. She stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed, smirking as if she hadn't just orchestrated a living hell. "Pamela," Ethan said, his voice low and dangerous. "What did you do?" Pamela gave a theatrical sigh. "We, the Homeowners Association, declared your property abandoned after your extended absence. You can't just leave a house empty like that. We have standards." "I was gone for 3 weeks," Ethan ground out. "On a work trip. Not 3 years." She tilted her head. 3 weeks, 3 years. What's the difference when the grass gets knee-high and the mailbox overflows? Clear signs of abandonment. "You're out of her damn mind," he barked. "You sold my house because my grass was long." Pamela gave a satisfied little smile. "It's not personal. It's about protecting property values." Ethan turned back to the new homeowners. "You seriously thought this was legit?" The man hesitated, his grip tightening on the paperwork. "We were told it was a foreclosure under HOA guidelines. Everything checked out legally." Ethan let out a hollow, humorless laugh. "I guarantee you it didn't." But before he could say anything else, a pair of police cruisers pulled up to the curb. Of course, Pamela had called them. "There's a trespasser on private property," she sang, pointing at Ethan like he was an unwelcome solicitor. By the time the officer stepped forward, hand resting near his belt, Ethan felt like his head might explode. "Sir," the officer said calmly, "I need you to step back and calm down." "Calm down." Ethan's voice shook. These people stole my house. The officer glanced at the documents the couple handed over, sighing. This looks like a civil matter. If you have a problem, you'll need to take it to court. Ethan's stomach turned. He'd read about things like this happening. Homeowners losing their properties to fraudulent HOAs, technicalities, and legal loopholes. But it always happened to other people. Never him. Pamela's smirk deepened. I suggest you find somewhere else to stay, Ethan. These lovely people actually pay their HOA dues. That was it. The final straw. Ethan's last thread of composure snapped. He pulled out his phone and dialed the one person he trusted with something this dirty. Zane, he said tightly when the call connected. I need you to bury someone in legal hell. There was a pause, then a deep chuckle. Someone finally pissed you off enough to call me, huh? Ethan's gaze stayed locked on Pamela, whose smugness faltered for the first time. Oh yeah, he said darkly, and I want to ruin them. Pamela's eyes narrowed, but there was a flicker of uncertainty now. She had no idea who Zane Holloway was. She was about to find out. Zane wasn't just any lawyer. He was a litigation monster who chewed HOA scams for breakfast. And Pamela had picked the wrong victim. The next morning, Ethan woke on Zane's couch. He hadn't slept much. His mind ran endless loops of disbelief, anger, and determination. His house, stolen, by people who had no legal right to it. And the police? Useless. Zane, however, had been thrilled. I love taking down fake HOAs, he had said the night before, practically buzzing with excitement. This is going to be fun. By noon, they sat in Zane's office, a modern space full of dark wood and steel. Zane leaned back in his chair, flipping through Pamela's fabricated documents. So let me get this straight, he said, brow raised. You were gone for 3 weeks. She decided your house was abandoned and sold it. Yep, Ethan said, jaw tight. Because my lawn got shaggy. Zane let out a low whistle. Amateurs, he muttered. Usually they at least try to fake some legal basis. He flipped another page, then laughed outright. Oh, this is rich. She signed the sales contract herself, as HOA president. There is no HOA, Ethan said. Exactly, Zane replied. There's no association, no filings, no board, no nothing. She made it all up. So what does that mean? Zane grinned like a shark. It means she's royally screwed. Wire fraud, real estate fraud, theft. We'll sue, and we'll win. Within hours, Zane filed a brutal lawsuit. Fraud, property theft, illegal sale of real estate, misrepresentation. He froze the sale of the house, halting the transfer of ownership. Pamela Langford had no idea what was coming. That evening, Ethan and Zane returned to Maplewood Drive. Pamela was laughing with neighbors in Ethan's former driveway. His driveway. She saw them coming and crossed her arms. You again, she said, rolling her eyes. I thought you'd moved on. Ethan smirked. I did. Right to court. Zane stepped forward and handed her a thick packet of papers. Congratulations. You're being sued. Pamela's mouth opened and closed. You can't. Oh, I can, Zane interrupted. And I already did. Her face paled as he continued. I've also filed complaints with the County Fraud Department, the Real Estate Commission, and the IRS. I doubt you've reported your illegal HOA dues. For the first time, Pamela's mask cracked. This is ridiculous. Ethan folded his arms. The judge didn't think so. He froze the sale. Those buyers? They can't move in. And you? You're looking at some serious criminal charges. Pamela's bravado faded. You can't sue an HOA. Zane barked a laugh. Lady, there is no HOA. The court date came fast. Ethan sat beside Zane in the courtroom, heart pounding as the bailiff called their case. Pamela looked like she hadn't slept in days. Gone was the suburban queen bee. In her place was a desperate woman clinging to the last scraps of control. The judge, a no-nonsense man in his 60s, read through the case file, unimpressed. Let me get this straight, he said, glancing at Pamela. You sold this man's house because you believed it was abandoned. Pamela lifted her chin. Yes, Your Honor. Under HOA guidelines. The judge interrupted. There is no HOA. Pamela stammered. That's a clerical error. Zane stood, smiling coldly. Your Honor, there was never an HOA. No findings. No board. She made it all up. Pamela's silence sealed her fate. The ruling was swift. The sale was nullified. Pamela was ordered to repay every dollar she collected and cover Ethan's legal fees. The judge referred her for criminal prosecution. Pamela sagged in her seat. She had lost everything. Weeks later, Ethan was back in his house. Pamela was gone, forced to sell her home to cover debts. The IRS was investigating. The neighbors she scammed were suing. Zane visited one afternoon, grinning as he handed Ethan an envelope. A foreclosure notice? Ethan asked. For Pamela's house, Zane said. The bank's auctioning it next month. Thought you might want to bid. Ethan glanced at the empty house across the street. A slow smile spread across his face. I love that idea. And just like that, the final nail in Pamela Langford's coffin was set. The queen of the fake HOA empire had lost everything. And Ethan Grant had won.